There were times I was looking at myself in the mirror going, dude, why are you putting on khakis?
Where Gunny Hawley, who was blown up and killed, who had 2 children, I lived in a reality for about, I think, 15 years that it should have been me.
Your source of strength has never been you. It has always been from somewhere else. It's just my belief that mine is from God. And I choose to rely on God. And I'm far from perfect. I screw up all the time. But my life is at peace. I have found a point past the storm where I am at peace.
When things got really bad, which they will, we all are going to have times in our life where we just can't handle some things. To know that reaching out for help is an option. It's the same as going to the doctor when you can't get over the common cold and it's turned into something crazy.
Yep.
Or sinus infection. You got to go to a doctor and get medicine. It's the same with your mental health.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bunkhouse. Today I have with me David McCleery. Hey David, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
So David, if you could give everybody a little bit of background, what you did in the military and kind of what made you want to join.
All right. Well, first off, I was a heavy equipment operator in the Navy. I did 14 years. Got out when for medical. They wouldn't extend my contract after the 14 years. They told me I had too much medical, so they didn't med set me, but they let my contract expire. So that kind of made me a little butthurt about it. But I was like, okay. I mean, I've seen every continent but Antarctica, so I've been all over the world. You know, originally from little hole in the wall, Illinois. West Central Illinois, and never thought I'd leave Illinois. And now I have seen so much of the world so it was really worth my time.
Yeah.
But now I get out and now I'm out doing more nonprofits for veterans on the mental health, especially. We do crisis response, that type of thing. So there's a lot of avenues that I'm going into now. So I'm still serving, as I call it, just throughout the whole community and across the country, even, really.
Yeah. So when you got out, so what was transition like for you coming out of the Navy into the civilian world?
Well, when I was in during 90, I went in 96, got out in 2010. My last 4 years were a recruiter out of Peoria. So my unit was out of St. Louis. So the closest base that we had to me was Scott Air Force Base.
Yeah.
So when I got out, they sent me down to transition awareness class, TAPS class. I was down there for, I think it was 4 or 5 days. I can't remember exactly. But it was more of just a paid goof off session because you sat in a classroom where they kind of went over some brief stuff, like, hey, this is what, like they announced what the VA is, but they had a guy from St. Louis come over. Well, I was living in central Illinois and it was 2.5 hours just to St. Louis. So it was like, I'm not driving to St. Louis just to talk to somebody. So they really didn't go into detail. It was just what was right there. Once I got out of that, they just it was kind of like, there's the door and here's your paperwork and go. And I don't hear nothing from them. So that was in 2010. And then I didn't get back with the VA for my claims and everything until 2017. So was, I was driving truck and I was all over the country doing odds and end jobs, but there was no real support like we had while we were in.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that was the biggest thing. We also there was a lot of that transition from you got everything going on and knowing like what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear, what your schedule's like. Everything was all planned for you. And now it's there's the door and you got to figure it all out yourself. And it was kind of scary. It
Yeah.
just like, okay, what do I do next? And then you're like, well, is that the right thing to do? Because I don't have no guidance. There's no one there to watch you to like lead you on. And all your
Yeah.
friends and everything were back in that, in the battalions and stuff. You didn't have that camaraderie there. It was you're going back to the middle of farm country and, oh yeah, I see a veteran here and there, but that was about it. So
Yeah.
there was no base around me, no, so that was a lot of the loneliness I would call it. Um, but I mean, I was glad that I did the time because it it made me grow up and all that type of thing. So I
Yeah.
did appreciate it, but I think that the transition out would have been a lot better if there was more of a guidance or even a mentoring, like somebody that could say, "Hey, this is what you should do." And even if they got it in your area and just
Yeah.
said, "Hey, this is the people that you need to talk to, you need to register with," stuff like that. And then until you go out and find it yourself, you don't know. So it's kind of lonely.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I will say, I guess for me, fortunately, when I was able to retire, even though it was an early retirement for me, I retired right outside of the Camp Lejeune area. So where I retired out of is where I stayed, and um, but even still, kind of the same thing. There was no real actual guidance. Kind of the same thing when going through this TRS or transitional readiness seminar. It's um, same thing. They just said, "Hey, this is what the VA is. This is what you can do," but they don't really teach you how to do anything. They don't teach you how to talk about claims or how to file your claim or do any of those things. Like there's a lot of stuff that they didn't teach, and so yeah, I couldn't imagine if I had to go back to like where I'm originally from in Western North Carolina, to where there are no military installations whatsoever around, kind of like how you are in Illinois. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it it would have been a much different experience for me.
Right.
Um, but before we move on further out, like past the military, um, can you kind of talk us through what it was like for you? Because you were in when 9/11 happened. So what was that time like for you?
Um, well, actually, when 9/11 happened, I was actually on baby leave because
Oh, okay.
my daughter was born 2 days after. So,
Okay.
which was good, but that how we all say, "Well, I remember when,"
Yeah.
that these events happen. I like as soon as it happened, I went and grabbed my sea bag that had my readiness clothes in it. It still packed, and I was like, "Okay, I'm ready to go," because I knew as soon as whatever happened that we were going to get activated, and
Yeah.
yeah, I had that time off for my daughter, but it was only what a couple weeks, and then we're right back into. I was training up to get ready to mob out,
Yeah.
and because we were on with our deployments, we once we got called up, we had 24 hours to be at the airport. We're gone. So we always had our bag packed. We just grab and go.
Yeah.
And because that's where as a CB, that's what we always did is we went wherever the Marines went. So,
Yeah.
however you guys as a Marine got, you guys got activated. It was like, hey, guess what? You're going with them. um, but yeah, I mean, it was really scary because I had that would have been my third daughter or my third kid, um, and just knowing that there was potential war at that time because it was before everything happened,
Yeah.
and I knew it was already bad. I mean, after I saw the first one hit, and I was like, "Nope, this isn't, we're going." And it
Yeah.
just so it kinda brought you up in stress level, um, and it just kinda drives you even more, I would say. And then once we got over there, it was go, 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 just
Yeah.
constant. Um, but yeah, we got called up twice for it. So I've been over there twice for in '03 and '05. Um, so we've been twice in our coverage. Um, yeah, I mean that's pretty much through that time. That was the big stress because of the family and you know,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because I was in my sophomore English class when 9/11 happened. Um, I graduated high school in '03. So, um, so yeah, I mean, you're right though. Like even for folks that weren't in the military when it happened, but we were coming into being military aged, I think you're right. Yeah, I think it aligned us a lot more with that being our path,
right,
after high school. Um,
right.
so I could definitely, I could definitely see how for if you were already in the military during this, how that really just, really just made you hone in on like, this is what I joined to do, and this is what we're
Hmm.
going to go do now,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
and I went to Bosnia, so I was in hostile area in Bosnia, and also, so
Yeah.
I had a lot of that other, already had that experience, I guess is what you want to call it. Um,
Yeah.
but the I think this one made it more surreal because we knew, I knew I was going to Bosnia. I knew that there
Yeah.
was, this one is like, you don't know when you're going. It's just, you're going, just you don't know when. And I think
Yeah.
that was probably the biggest difference between the two is like, oh, and, we look back on Desert Storm and Desert Storm was like real quick.
Yeah.
It was like a slap, and
Yeah.
was this one gonna be the same way or what, you didn't know.
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of questions out there that just would float in the back of your head that so
Yeah. I could definitely see that too. You're right. Like by the time I came in and started my deployment rotations, we already kind of knew when we were going, where we were going, and like how long we were going to be there.
mhm,
But yeah, I mean, there definitely, I could see where just that unknown, that's added stress just in
yeah,
itself, the
it
unknown
is.
piece of it, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay. So once you got out, you said you were driving trucks and stuff like that, and you finally got into the VA. Um, was there a time to where you just you started noticing something different, like about yourself, like how you were reacting to things, or how you were just feeling it, like emotionally or mentally?
Well, when I first before I got out, I was like I said, I was in recruiting, and that time in recruiting I was having a lot of anxiety attacks,
Yeah,
or at least that's what we were classifying it as is anxiety attacks, or panic attacks and that type of thing.
yeah,
Um, my anger was so out there. I mean, I was taking it on everybody around me, the kids and my wife, and that type of thing. And it just, I had to go. I finally went to a civilian doctor. They put me on medicine for it because they said, "Oh, it's acute anxiety and not," you know.
yeah,
Um, then right before I got out, they classified it as PTSD, but they're like, "Here's a pill," and that's all it
yeah,
was. There was no follow up, no talking to counselor. It was just, "Here's a pill," and I just so from 2010 until 17, I was just making it on my own. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, you say I got this. Must be what it is. And, so I was driving truck. Well, driving truck, you don't have, it's a lot of free time in your head.
Yeah.
And you know as well as I do, that's not a good time to be.
Yep.
Um, had a lot of conversations about it, um, but and that's when I kind of realized that this I thought I was going to die out on the road because I would have panic attacks while driving and just have to pull over and and just trying to calm myself down. I didn't know there was no one to talk to. I just had to
Yeah.
do it myself, and that was really the scary part, after going through 2 wives, um, and then finally meeting the one my wife now. Ended up wrecking my truck. I got blown off the road, in 17, and that's when I decided I'm done with the driving over the road. It was my way out,
Yeah.
um, and then with getting with her, she's the reason that she pushed me into, "You need to get some help." Um,
Yeah.
and she's not saying, "Oh, you have to get help." It's just she pushed me into knowing that there's other things out there. She's her brother's from he was in the army. Um, he was in Afghanistan. He's got the same type of thing. So we talk a lot, but
Yeah.
it's just, she realized that she could see more, but she tried to guide me into it. So we lined up with the VSO here. Um, and it just kind of started playing in the works. Once I got in with the VSO, then I had a couple. I went to school, got my degrees and all that, and ended up going back to work for the same VSO that I was working at.
Okay.
Became an VSO, and then once I had my mental breakdown in 18 or in 23, um, that's when I left that and just became working for, I'm medical retirement, getting my disability, my work for just the nonprofits now. So I'm
Yeah.
just helping all these different organizations out to push that envelope so that we can break that stigma. Because that time in that I was over the road and until 17 was just it was scary. I mean, it was because there was no one there for you. So I
Yeah.
think that would have been the thing that pushed it the most.
Yeah. And you're right. Like when you get in your own head and you have nobody to really kind of talk things through, get a rationale from somebody else's perspective. Um, that that's when a lot of things can go bad really quickly. There's the saying that said idle minds are the devil's playground, and that's
Mhm.
100% true, especially when you have there's any kind of trauma that you're dealing with, anxiety, PTSD. Like those are the times like idle minds definitely are not a good
Yep.
thing. Like I always try to find ways to keep myself active all the time. Um, a few years back, whenever I took my 3-year break before relaunching the podcast, that was one of the things I mistakenly did after being out for about 4 or 5 months. I started kind of pulling away from the veteran community. I started kind of secluding myself. I started getting in my
Mhm.
own head. I, I didn't find ways to be proactive with anything or be active in anything. And that's kind of where things kind of started taking a turn for the worst.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I could definitely see, I could relate to that. And I know there's a lot of people out there who feel the same way, just feel alone. And it's great to hear stories where you can find somebody that helps pick you up or build you back up and point you in the right direction. You know, um, I think everybody has that person. It's just they have to be willing to see it that way.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
um, And for anybody out there that's listening, if you're that person somebody needs to look to, there's definitely a wrong way of doing that as well, right? Because like you said, like with your wife now is like she saw it in her brother, and so she came at it with like a completely different perspective. It wasn't like she was trying to force you to do these things. Like
Right.
she was just saying, "Hey, these are some things you can do, and I think you should do those things." Right?
Yep.
Um, because a lot of times, if she would have gave you an ultimatum, says either do this or this happens, then there would have been so much more pushback, right?
Right.
Like, at least that's how I work. That's how like my mind operates. A lot of
Yep.
times is when there's ultimatums that that tells me that I put a wall up immediately, and I don't want to move forward with it if that's how it has to be, you know.
Exactly.
Um, so um, and you said when you're working as the VSO, like you start working as a VSO because of how helpful the VSO was for you? You wanted to kind of pay that back to the next veteran?
No, actually, I started out in EMS. I was a volunteer firefighter. Uh, I went into paramedic, went and got my license, everything. Well, I hurt my back, and I
Okay.
didn't feel like it wouldn't have been safe for me to pick up a patient on the gurney. So I'm the type that I don't want to hurt people.
Yeah.
So I want to help them. And I'm very my heart's real big and I want to help everybody. I mean, pretty much. Um, but once I got hurt, I couldn't I couldn't do that paramedic job. So
Yeah.
I went into the hospital, was working as a patient sitter. I sat with Alzheimer's patients and just sit around and watch them, make sure they didn't fall. And this was during the
Yeah.
time of COVID. So
Okay. Yeah.
it was horrible job. I mean, it was a great job, just horrible situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and once this opportunity, I saw it come up, and I'm like, I want to help veterans. That's my ultimate goal is to help my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be the greatest thing is because I know that I didn't get that opportunity, so why not help others? And when I became a VSO, I went right in, got my degree or my certificate for it, got registered with the VA, got everything, was doing great. And until August 18th of 23, I'd put so much in helping these veterans and really didn't look at myself. I
Yeah.
still had that. I hadn't fixed myself first. And that was the biggest downfall because I let myself go. I didn't care about myself. As long as I helped my brothers and sisters, that was my mission now. So
Yeah.
I put everything into it and I let myself slide. And when I ended up, you know, I, I lost so much anger in that time frame. I actually went in an out of body experience. And just tried to become one of the 22 that night. Checked myself into the hospital over here at Riverside, at our local hospital here. We spent 5 days on the mental health floor, finding different tools and stuff like that, which was
Yeah.
great. I didn't feel like I was kind of embarrassed because I was a VSO, I was a peer support, I was, all these things. And here
Yeah.
I am checked inside and I felt really horrible about it, uh, as like and almost embarrassed because I'm supposed to be the one on the other side helping. And I had one of the nurses actually told me that she was going to check herself in, and but the
Yeah.
only reason she didn't was because she was a single mother and didn't have anything for her kid, so she couldn't because DCFS would have took her kid.
Yeah.
And once she said that, because she's working on the floor, and I'm like, okay, so I know I have to take care of myself. So we talked it over. Me and my wife went through a lot of conversations about it. I ended up doing multiple uh, IOPs out of intention outpatient programs. I did an 18-day one with Riverside, our local one, which was good, but it was all civilian, so it was hard
Okay.
for me to open up.
Yeah.
And I'm working now with them, trying to see if I can get a military first responder one, because a lot of the people, like when I was in there, I don't feel comfortable telling a lot of stuff that's on my head to
Yeah.
18, 19-year-olds sitting here that, you know, they got mad because their mom took away their PlayStation or whatever. And
Yeah.
it was just really it was hard to open up in it, but I still forced myself to at little levels.
Yeah.
But then once I got out of that, I went to Warrior Path. I went to Maryland and was up by Gettysburg, and we were up on this little camp. I was there for a week, and that's when I really found that you know there's ways of helping us. You got to help yourself first. And once I
Yeah.
got all the tools that I needed, it's been so much not easier, but
Yeah.
better for me mentally that I can turn around, take care of myself, and now I can help these other people. But I know what's my limit. So I don't
Yeah.
burn myself out. Plus, I got a lot more friends now that are in this field that we help all these, with all these organizations. So they can gauge on me and we kind of came up with like stoplights. Where are you at today? I'm a green. Just kind of so we can check each other and it
Yeah.
helps a lot. So,
No, that's good. I think you bring up a good point though, because I think there's a lot of us out there who will find ways to get a quick fix for ourselves, right? And
hmm
then pour ourselves completely into something else and burn ourselves out
yep.
without continuing to work on ourselves at the same time. And what I've learned, and I think we've talked about it before, like you've also learned, I'm fairly certain, is like your healing is a continuous lifelong
Oh,
journey.
yeah.
Like there is no overnight fix. There's not a 12-day program or a 4 month, like a 2 month program that's going to fix you for
Nope.
life. It's a continuous growth that you have to, like you always have to put yourself first, because
Right.
if you can't put yourself first, you might be able to think you can help somebody else out, but there's going to come a time that you're going to reach your limit. And like you said, you're just going to burn out and really
hmm
get into a really bad spot.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. And that's
and
what
so
I try to tell all my vets that when in our peer groups. I tell them all, I'm like, you have to become a foundation because
yeah,
the house, your strongest part of the house is a foundation. If it's weak, the whole place is going to crumble. So
yeah,
just because, and I used to look at it as like, oh, this is a band-aid. I'm good. I'm going.
yeah,
And now I have to look at it as I'm part of the foundation and then I have to make sure I'm whole so that other things can be whole. And I feel like it's helped in all my, even in my relationships and stuff like that. So that's been the most important. You're never going to be fixed. It's
right.
just you got it when you go to these programs, what they're giving you is tools to help you get that foundation strong. And that's
Yeah.
what I look at it as.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a really good point too. Is um, after getting the tools to make a stronger foundation and understanding where your limits are and being able to set boundaries to make
hmm
sure you don't get past it again, right?
Yep.
To don't make sure you don't backslide again, and to continue to make your foundation stronger. And setting boundaries, whether that be with your wife, setting boundaries with your kids, with your friends, with people that you're assisting with the different programs. Like you have to
Yep.
set boundaries.
Yep. That's exactly right.
No, I think that's where a lot of us, 'cause I think that's like looking back, that's kind of what happened to me is because same thing, like coming out of the Marine Corps, I didn't necessarily try to help myself or give myself the right tools. I would like kind of like you. I wanted to be the helper, right? Not
Mhm.
not the helped, if that makes sense. And I think that's really what happened with me is like I didn't set boundaries. I didn't know where my limits were, and I burnt myself out.
Right.
You know, and it and then I started not putting my effort into my podcast anymore. I didn't put a lot of effort into my family time. Like there's a lot of things I definitely should have put more effort into that I didn't. And
Right.
then the
And a
idle
lot of it,
mind came.
yeah, and a lot of it, I believe, is from when we're trained. Because, like, if we look
Yeah.
back into our training throughout the military, you're always caring about everybody else.
Yep.
And I I think that a lot of us take that whole situation and just continue it once we get out, and it's just we're not taking care of ourselves. And once we start to
Yeah.
actually look inside and take care of ourselves, there's been, there's so much more that you can do. And I mean, like I do meditation every morning. I do my meditation. I do self reflect. I do or self gratitudes. I do my journaling every night. And it's just those type of things that's how I do it. It might not
Yeah.
work for everybody else, and that's where you have to find what works for you and what you can release. Like I love to go outside and go out in the woods and just just sit by the river. Just
Yeah.
listening to the river calms me. But some people might not like that. Maybe they want to be in, you know, around 100 people. Me, I would not. No, I'm not that type of person.
Yeah.
So,
No, you're right. And that's another thing too, is like, and the thing is a lot of times you're not going to figure out what works for you until you get out there and try some things.
right.
Like I started journaling and I'd never really been a writer at all my life. Like I started journaling and I will say for me, journaling works really well for me. Um,
Hmm.
and I would start kind of jotting down my story, kind of almost like I was telling my story to myself, you
Yep.
know, and then reflecting back on what I would write. And then that ended up kind of turning into some very, like, very novice poem writing. But again,
Hmm.
it's just, it's really kind of what it turned into. And I enjoy writing stuff now,
Right.
you know, outside of just journaling. Like I'll sit down and have a kind of a session where I just think about writing a poem only. I don't even tie it to journaling anymore.
Yep.
Um, so no, you're right. There's not everything works for everybody, but it's really finding out what those things are. And again, getting that kind of recommendation from folks like yourself or like me or from other veterans that are on that growth and that healing journey. Um, and it being able and like, and I think you said it really well earlier, is like you felt ashamed being in that treatment program
Yep.
at the hospital. But looking back, it's probably one of the best things you probably made a decision to do.
Oh yeah. And I
Right.
needed it. I mean, I called my wife that night when I was trying to take my life. Um, and I begged her to help me.
Yeah.
She was the only one that I knew that if she didn't come and get me, I wouldn't get help.
Yeah.
Um, but she said that you need to get help. I went, checked myself in. I didn't, it wasn't forced or anything. It was just I checked myself in because I knew that I needed it. Looking back, it was, I mean, it wasn't the great. It wasn't, wasn't Club Med, but it was the thing I needed at that time. So
Yeah.
it was the important thing that I had to do, and I believe that that's what's made me better person now.
Yeah.
All these programs that I went through from the start all the way up. So even if they weren't the greatest, but they still have that portion of me that made me the better person I am now.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I think that's good to point out too, is like not every program's going to be the best program out there,
Right.
but you should be able to guarantee that you should be able to take at least one thing away from it to be better with,
Mhm.
right?
As long as you learn
And
something.
yeah, exactly, right? Um, So I think, like, and I know this is probably the generation you grew up in the Navy with. It's definitely the generation that I grew up in the Marine Corps with, especially in my early days in my career, is like you you were seen as being weak for asking for help or for
Oh
talking
yeah.
about things like this. And I think having conversations with like you and other veterans out there, like letting everybody know, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of for feeling this way.
Right.
It is that's what's happened to us all in some way or fashion and at different levels because we decided to serve our country, you
Yeah.
know?
And
And that's
that's
that's the
the thing
harsh
that I
reality of it.
yeah. And I push that heavily to everybody. I'm like, I think I wish we would get rid of the stigma. The stigma
Yeah.
is the hardest thing. Um, and I put in, I've done a few speeches with our Legion during like Veterans Day and Memorial Day. And I always throw in that that's the downfall. When we came
Yeah.
up, you didn't even go to you didn't even go to medical. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, you got something wrong? Suck it up,
Yep.
and just get in there. And there's times, I mean, I can understand if you're in the middle of a mission and you got to achieve this goal. There's a difference,
Yeah.
but when it's normal, if you need help, you need help. You've got
Yeah.
to be able to know those signs, and it's not weak. It's the whole body health because you break a leg, you're going to medical.
Yep.
Mental health is the exact same thing. If you're not whole, you got to go to medical or get help. It's not that treatment is not there for, like some would say, wussies or anything like that. It was you're there to get help to make you the better person to take
Yeah.
care of everybody else also. So you know that's the thing is I hate the stigma. I wish it would go away, but I mean, I'm trying, but
Yeah.
I'm just a little man on the totem pole.
And that's one of the big things I'm trying with this show is hopefully getting enough people talking about it, make more people more comfortable with talking about it,
Yep.
and hopefully start to break that stigma up a little bit. And you're right because it doesn't matter like when you go down range, if doesn't matter if you're not physically whole or mentally whole, you're still broken in a
Right.
sense, right? Like
You're still.
regardless.
Yep.
Yeah. And you can't provide 100% to the mission down range with a broken arm, no
Right.
different than you can with a broken brain or a broken
Yep.
mind. Like
Yep. That's
it's the same.
exactly.
And but you're right there. Like as soon as we get home, get back stateside and we start asking for help or saying we have these problems or hey, I think I'm drinking a little too much. I want to go get some help. Then immediately it's almost like your leadership looks at you way differently than they did
Yes.
before,
And
you
it
know?
is. And that's, and I've noticed a little more from the younger guys that are coming out. Um, and I don't know if it's just because of, I say us older guys kind of are pushing it more now, kind of like the Vietnam guys did with
Yeah.
with the GWA guys. It's just it it takes those previous generations to actually push certain things, and
Yeah.
think I don't know if that's why they're doing it, but like I've noticed a lot more linear talk around some of the people that I'm talking to that are like just getting out now.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit more. It's not taken away, but it's getting there. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I'm
definitely
that's
agree. It's getting a lot better than what it was. Even I retired in 2022, and even then it was starting to get a lot better than it was when I was Lance Corporal Cole,
right.
like, but I think what it has a lot to do with too is there's we have a lot better, I would say a bigger voice now of veterans who have gotten out and who are on that uphill recovery and growth. that
Right.
are voicing their concerns for the next
Yeah.
generation,
Yeah. And I
right?
think that's what it is.
I think that's really what's helped us out, like the post GWAT generation is a lot of folks from the GWAT generation are starting to speak up and be
Right.
very vocal, um, especially with social media and everything like that these days. Like there, I have a couple, I have a, like my professional network, like on LinkedIn and stuff. There's quite a few veterans that I'm on there with, and there's a couple of them that are very vocal around Capitol Hill and
Yep.
stuff as well. So getting veterans that are not afraid to go talk in those kind of stages about
Hmm.
mental health and about taking care of us after service. Um, I think that's helped out a lot, you know?
Yeah. And that's what, like with Buddy Check 22, which I'm the executive director there. Um, what we do is we're all about getting that awareness out there. It's actually Buddy Check 22 Veteran Suicide Awareness, and it's meant to push that awareness out there. Kelly, Kelly Fry, she's the president, the founder. She's a very big. She says everything. We're on the 22nd of every month. Reach out. Uh,
Yeah.
I I mean, I would say, do it as much as you possibly can. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just set that up so that you can do it. We're trying to do so much of that. That's why we provide the free counseling at our local uh, healthcare here at Well in Mind. We do ugh, free therapy for the veteran and their families. So it's
Oh,
not
nice.
just the veteran. We do everybody that's involved with a veteran. So that way we make the whole person better because you could fix one piece of the veteran, but
Yeah.
you still put them back in that same household or whatever, and that stress is still there. It's not going to help.
Yeah.
So we do it. You can go for family counseling. You can go for the children can go for their counseling, and we pay for it. And that's what we raise our money for. We also provide mental health first aid classes now. I teach those about once a quarter, and we teach it to the public. It's not just for veterans. It's for anybody that wants to help veterans. So we do the veteran category of it. They have
Yeah.
multiple ones, but I teach the veteran one just because that's what I feel that's my specialty in. So
Yeah.
I teach that one. Um, but yeah, and that's why we do it when we work with all these other programs or these other nonprofits to help aid in that situation. Also, like Project Headspace and Timing, where we do crisis response, we do peer support groups, we do outdoor activities like kayaking, hiking, fishing, biking. Uh, we did the disaster recovery for the tornado that just hit our town. We spent 2 weeks out cutting trees and just cleaning up neighborhoods, just as a group of veterans, just out there to help
Yeah.
because got that camaraderie still, and they, it was great. You pull up in our truck and everybody bails out and and they're like, "Oh, hey, they're here." Um,
That's awesome.
so it's stuff like that I'm trying to keep going to get rid of that stigma and just to get the mental health, because that's the biggest thing is that mental health, get rid of that suicide number. I'd like to see it at 0, but you know, we got some work to do, but I it can be done if we just have to work. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. Like it's also going to take a lot of work, but if anything that you're doing or any other veteran community or even my show, if it makes one person second, like think twice before
yep.
doing it, you know, then we've done, I think,
Right.
what we're trying to do, right? Even
Yeah.
if it just
As long
helps
as we
one
can help
person.
one person.
Yeah.
So,
Um, no, and I like that idea. Like you guys, you guys come together and help after disasters and stuff in your community. I think that's it. I think that's an awesome thing. I think I I might steal your idea and start talking to some of my veteran buddies around here
Hmm.
and start doing that, especially coming into the hurricane season this year and stuff
Yep.
like that around here. We get hurricanes really bad around here. So I might talk to them about that. Steal your idea there.
Yeah.
But no,
And
I think that's a
there's,
great thing.
yeah, and there's a lot of organizations that you can use to help,
Yeah.
get like aid and stuff. Like we partnered with a place called the Tool Bin. Um, and they do like tools, so we can get tools that we don't have. We just
Yeah.
basically get them from them on a rental, like a rental type thing. But if
Yeah.
it's a disaster, they take care of us. We're all veterans, so they know we're going to try
Yeah.
to take care of them. And then we use them and send them back. And
That's
you
awesome.
know, it's stuff like that. We've partnered with all these other nonprofits basically and
Yeah.
companies that helped us, and that was what we did, and we because you had to help everybody. So,
Yeah.
and I think that just it made us feel more accomplished because we've got things that we're still doing a mission. So we're out
Yeah.
helping the community, even though we didn't know them, but it's still
Yeah.
there. Just like when we served. And a
Yeah.
lot of our veterans, I felt they really like that. So
No, that's awesome. Yeah, because and again, working around veterans a lot more and having conversations like this a lot more, I think that's probably one of the biggest kind of common themes is that loss of mission or purpose
mhm.
to provide or to you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that happens to a lot of us and selfishly me doing this podcast is my way of providing a mission or
Right.
giving myself a purpose, you
Yep.
know? Um, so yeah, I mean, I, I think that's a great idea. I mean, hopefully there's some listeners out there that they take this and kind of think about it as well, like in their communities, like because there's always opportunities. There's somebody that needs help everywhere,
Oh, yes.
regardless of the level, right? So I think that's a
Whether it
great
be
way.
just like mowing people's yards,
Yeah,
we have some of our Vietnam guys that can't really get out and do a lot. We got one guy that's got
yeah,
Parkinson's.
yeah,
He can't go out and mow his yard. So one of our guys he's a disabled vet, he goes over and mows his yard. And
yeah,
that's just his purpose. And it makes him feel better because he can help that guy. And
yeah,
the Vietnam guy, he don't have to worry about it so much because so he doesn't have to pay somebody because the
yeah.
guy does it. He volunteers and just comes over and does it. So, but that's why we take care of our own and that's how we help each other. So,
You know, that's awesome. I think that's great. Um, so what does strength look like now for you versus what it did when you were in uniform?
um, I would say strength is it's that's two part.
Okay.
Um, because there's strength like powerlifting strength. That'd be the best way to put it. Um, and then there's I'm I'm not that I'm strong. It's just my mental health is a whole body. So it's the
Yeah.
whole body strength to make sure you're whole. And that's the way I would look at it. Because strong, I mean, yeah, you can go to the gym and lift weights and do all that. I'm not a big fan of that. That's just me. I never have been. But when you come down to the mental or the whole body strength, it's all about creating that one with your body and make sure that you're all together.
No, I think that's extremely important to kind of identify too is a lot of times, especially I would say in most branches, strength is how fast can you run? How many push-ups can you do? How many pull-ups can you do? How many sit-ups can you do? Right? Like that's essentially how you determine your strength and your physical ability in most military branches. And I think I think you have it really set now for what strength is today for after service is knowing what that like that mind, body, and spirit being aligned,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
And figuring out what that means for you because each person is different. Everybody's going to
Right.
have a different way of doing certain things. Whether it be doing, like you said, you do meditation, you do writing, you know, those are things that get your mind
Yep.
and your body, so like mind, body, and spirit aligned and in tune that
Yep.
makes you the best and the strongest foundation for you and the people around you, right?
Hmm.
So talked a little bit about strength and now let's kind of shift into is there anything that you wish you would have known earlier about mental health or for asking for help?
Um, I would have to say that the what I wish I would have known or done earlier would be to ask for the help,
Yeah.
to know that it's okay to ask for help. It's not a weakness, like we were talking about with the stigma. I mean, that's the biggest thing. But to know the to actually be able to look at myself and say, okay, my mental health is affecting this, or it's like I know that when I'm not good and I start to seclude, that's my mental health. I need to figure out why and kind of go into and push on to it. So
Yeah.
I use my service dog a lot. You know, when I'm sitting on the couch and I start to feel that way, I just carry a conversation with him. Just something similar to that. That
Yeah.
I know that certain things I can use those tools that I've gotten, and I think that if we would have got something like that in maybe in TAPS class or something,
Yeah.
where we could have, once we got out and we're alone, okay, start looking at yourself and saying, hey, I need some help. Maybe I'm drinking too much or I'm using drugs, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
That's my vice that I'm going to. And it's not because I have to have those, it's because you're trying to cover something up.
Yeah.
Um, so, just looking around at my mental health, thinking that those are the symptoms that I need to actually be looking at, figuring out why, and kind of, you know, so that I could use those triggers as I call them, that
Yeah.
they're not going to hurt me as bad. I can kind of cut them off and sooner than I could later and not let them, get to that extreme point.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good thing to kind of look back at and I think that's part of the understanding and having that mind, body, and spirit alignment for your
Mhm.
for the strength and foundation is understanding and being able to identify when you start seeing yourself backslide, right?
Right.
Being able to see that and say, oh, you know what? No, I cannot let myself go here again. Like let me refocus on
Mhm.
something else, you know 'cause I think you're right because there's been times where you you start getting into, I don't wanna say repetitiveness or whatever we wanna call it, like, there's a lull in where you feel stagnant, I guess, almost, and you start falling back into the same things that started pulling you down again,
Yes.
you know? But being able to kinda once you start noticing that or being able to identify that, you can having the ability to step back and say, "Nope, nope, we're not doing this this time. It's gonna be different this time," and start
Right.
kind of realigning, I think that's part of that alignment, you know?
Right. And having those people on your side that are, around you. Like I use my wife a lot. Um,
Yeah,
when like she, as much as I hate to say it, like on Facebook, I'll start listening to YouTube or something, and I'll hear a song, and I'll share it, and as
yeah,
soon as she sees it, she's like, "Are you okay?" and she checks in with me.
Yeah.
And as much as that, yeah, I'm fine, but as much as it might drive me crazy, but that's her checking in to make sure that I'm okay. And I
Yeah.
have other guys that do the same thing. And that's where I was talking about with the red, the stoplight type of thing. If you're, green and yellow, you're okay. Are we in red? No, if I go out and sit by the water, one of my guys will call me and he'll be
Yeah.
like, "Where are you at?" And I'm like, "I'm by the river." "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm green. I'm good. I'm just out here, just listen, just trying to
Yeah.
relax." And so that's how we gauge ourselves, and that type of thing is what I use to
Yeah.
kind of go that way. And that's what I mean by other people. So it doesn't have to be medical professionals or whatever, just somebody that can check on you. So, and call you
Yeah.
for your crap.
Yep. No, you're right though. Like real friends are brutally honest, right?
Hmm.
Like they don't sugarcoat anything. They don't tell you what you want to hear. They tell you what you need to hear and be honest with you.
Yep.
Um, and and if you don't have somebody like that around you, like that, you need to find somebody else to like to be in your
Yeah.
corner. Really,
I,
if you don't have
I
that,
call them
if you don't have at least one,
I call them my 3 to 5.
yeah,
We all know 3 to 5 people that we could probably reach out to at 2 o'clock in the morning
yep,
or at noon, whatever time, and they will be there. And,
yep,
I know who my 3 to 5 are, that they're actually on my safety plan. So I know that those people are there for me. And I'm not saying they have to be there all the time, but
yeah,
I know I can count on them when times get tough. So,
yeah. No, and I think it's important to stay connected with folks like that that you know and are that you trust. Because there's a group that I deployed to Afghanistan with. I didn't play with all of them that are in the group now, but when we first started doing this, we as folks started getting out, more people were getting out of the Marine Corps. Um, we wanted to stay connected, so we started doing fantasy football every year.
hmm,
Right, so we started our own fantasy football league, and it was just us. It was a group of, I think, like 8 or 10 of us or something like
yep,
that when we first started, and it was all of us that were in the same unit. We all deployed together, and folks have moved on to other things since then, but that's how we stay that keeps us connected, and the thing is, though, like, we have a group chat that we have running year round. It's not just during football season, like, we'll we'll talk about all sports, not just
hmm,
fantasy football
yep,
either in our group chat, which is good. It keeps us connected,
hmm,
and kind of the same thing. There's at least 3 people, 2 to 3 people just in that chat group that if I needed it at any moment's notice, they would be there.
yeah,
They would answer.
yep,
Um, so yeah, so surrounding yourself with people like that is extremely important, in my opinion. Um, Having that support group around you is extremely important in your continued growth.
yeah,
And not only that, it you may be helping somebody else out also by
yeah,
having a knit like kind of circle like that. It's not just for your benefit, but it's for each one of your benefits.
yeah,
You know, so
yeah. It's true.
if 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 there's somebody, a veteran out there, or even a loved one of a veteran out there, what is something that you would want to say to them if they were listening right now, um, about either asking for help or just mental health in general, struggling with something?
Um, Biggest thing that I would say, other than you know, it's okay to get help. It's okay to be not okay. It is. Um, but it's the stigma. Just you've got to reach out to your loved ones, to friends, whoever. It doesn't have to be like a psychologist or whatever. Let them the therapy. Talk therapy is great. Uh, we use the peer support a lot. Uh,
Yeah,
I'm real big into the peer support. We have 3 meetings right now that we hold every week, just because it is such a help that we feel like these people can come in and ask. We also have a spouse group that does the same thing, that and it's all spouses. So they're
Yeah.
still in that asking for help, because it's not just the veteran that needs help, the spouse, the children, they're going through tough times too, because us as veterans put them through a lot of stuff too. And
Yeah.
we're pushing a lot of us, even though we don't know it, we're pushing a lot of our issues on them quietly, and they're having to deal with it too. So I think if you're a veteran, a loved one, anybody, just ask for that help from somebody. It
Yeah.
Reach out to somebody. There's always, there's nonprofits out there that help veterans. There's all the, like, the American Legion, the VFWs, the AMVETS, the Marine Corps League. I mean, you name it, they're out there. Find what's in your area that you can reach out to if it's in a time. I'm not going to say crisis, because 988, you dial 988, press 1, goes to a veteran line. Um, that is for crisis or non-crisis. We have people that just want to talk. They
Yeah.
just That's how they're secluded, but they don't want to go get help. So they call them every now and then when they're starting to get down, and they just talk them, and they'll talk to them. They're not going to, as soon as you dial 988, they're not going to call and send the SWAT team or whatever. They're
Yeah.
there to they're there to help you, to bring you down. They don't want to send you to the hospital. They want to help you get better.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means you have to go to treatments and stuff like that, but not always. Sometimes it's just talk. You
Yeah.
just need somebody that understands what you're going through. So that's why I say I would call 988, all the legions, the VFWs, the AMVETS, find nonprofits. I mean, I know there's tons of nonprofits out there that say they, help them. Just look up in your area and see what's there. So, because I know here in Illinois, we've got, I'm part of 4. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of different organizations out there that will help veterans.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you got your VA. You can always go to the VA and, just call them, check up, check in. Um, there's so much out there. Just find the help, because it's out there. But most importantly, I would say talk to somebody. It saves a life. It really does.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a good point too, is getting help just for yourself or talking to somebody just yourself is just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Hmm.
Getting into, even if it's not like couples type counseling, where somebody like you said, your spouse can go talk to other spouses. I think that's extremely important, because I think you brought up a really good point when you talk about when you first started doing like the group meetings
Hmm.
in that one setting where you were the only veteran there and you didn't feel very comfortable talking about
Right.
certain things. And it's because they couldn't relate. They didn't understand any of the things that you were saying or how you felt or how it made you feel. Um, so kind of the same thing when spouses go to try to get counseling and they just go to a regular counselor and they talk about situations with the veteran and how it makes them feel. It's going to be a very general type of session. It's not
Right.
really going to be focusing on that specific type of
Hmm.
case. And I think finding the community around you that that can help with each one of those pieces, because you're right, because again, kids of service members and kids of veterans are completely different ground than civilian kids,
Oh yeah.
right? Like brought out completely different. Move
Right.
around a lot more. They understand what it means to move away and lose friends on a
Yep.
regular basis, and so yeah, I think having that holistic kind of support not just for the veteran, but for the family as a whole, I think is really important.
Right.
And I'm trying to think if I know any around my area that do like there. I will say again, I think I'm very fortunate to be around like a military installation to where there a lot of the counseling offices in our area are kind of tailored and focused on like military families.
Right.
So I think, but again, like that's not always going to be the case, though.
Right.
Um,
And a lot of them, like around here, we have VACs, which are the Veterans Assistance Commissions, and each
okay,
county is supposed to have one. Um, so those are like your VSOs, but they also can at least guide you into the nonprofits that are out there to help them.
yeah,
Then you have the vet centers, which vet centers
yep,
are amazing. I mean,
they are,
they're they're not the VA, but they have treatments, they have groups, they have, and that's like where I'm at. They're the closest one's an hour away, so it's
yeah,
hard for us to do that. But that's where a lot of these nonprofits like Buddy Check and Project Headspace and Timing and all these others that kind of come together and kind of mend that. They're all work
yeah,
together to be like a vet center per se.
yeah,
Um, but we've have send people up to our closest vet center. We have contacts with them, so we can actually reach out and maybe have them come down and meet with a veteran. But that's what we do on with our like our crisis side that we
yeah,
go out and try to help with them. We sit like at the hospitals and then with Buddy Check paying for the therapy at the hospital, I can call them and say, "Hey, I've got a veteran that really needs help. Is there anything you can do?" And they would get them in within a week. So they'll get them in, and they're not veterans. None of them are
yeah,
veterans up there, but they understand how they work. So they're very good at. They don't BS it like some of
yeah,
the civilians would come up and like, "Oh yeah, okay, I know what it's like." No, you don't, and
yeah,
they'll tell you right up front. We don't know what it's like, but this is what PTSD, this is what you deal with. This is, and they give you the full answers. And I've been going to them for, oh, 3+ years. So, I
yeah,
mean, and I told her the first time I seen her, I ain't telling her crap because she's going to put me on the second floor. So, but that was just the veteran in me that said, no, I
yeah,
ain't telling you because you're going to put me away. And
yeah,
she said, no, I won't. And she didn't. And then, as time went on, and I realized that that's why I stuck with her and that's why I feel so comfortable with her is because she's honest with me.
yeah,
She's not there to send me away. She's there to actually try to help me. She gives me like assignments and, stuff like that that actually help. And
yeah.
it works.
No, I think you bring up another good point there is like finding that support system, like even like the professional support system, because like I started going to a vet center here. We have a local vet center here where I'm at,
Hmm.
and that's where I was doing my in office counseling was at the vet center. And it was great. And again, they were very honest. They were very honest. And again, same thing. They're not associated to the VA. So what you say in there doesn't go into your VA records, which
Right.
again is a lot of, I think that has a lot of like people shy away from like official counseling because they think it has to go in to their
Right.
records and stuff, which it doesn't have to. Um, but I think also if you're going to take the time to do the counseling, like professional counseling, you would be doing yourself a disservice for not being honest with the counselor if you're
Oh, yeah.
expecting them to be honest with you as well. Regardless of what the outcome may be, they may say they wanna put you into an inpatient treatment, but if they say that and you've been 100% honest with them, it's because that's something that you need,
Right.
right, to make you better. So, hey, the honesty piece, that's one thing I was very kind of I was very kinda shy of being completely honest when I first started my counseling sessions, and it was the same thing. It's like, 'cause 1, I didn't want it to go on, like, record,
Right.
into my VA claims. I didn't want it to affect my CCW. I didn't want it to affect like all this other stuff. And that's actually not always the case in most scenarios,
Yep.
honestly. again, if I I started learning if I'm going to put in the effort and take time out of my day to drive all the way to the vet center to have these sessions, why wouldn't I want to get everything out of it?
Right.
So you have to start being honest.
Exactly.
So, mm, so before we sign off, I definitely want to give you the selfish ability to let everybody know where they can find more information about Buddy Check 22, um, Head Time and Space, like all of the nonprofits you're a part of. Where can they get information? How can they contact? And kind of a real quick at what the differences in services.
Well, with Buddy Check 22, we have a website. It's bc22vsa.gov or .com, sorry. Um, and that's for mental health therapy. We pay for supposed to be 6 sessions. Um, they're not gonna they're not gonna cut you off. They're basically gonna help you because they wanna make you better.
Yeah.
And this is for you, your as a veteran, your family. It could be spouse, it could be children, it could be grand or parents, it could be anybody that's your support system because that's what makes you whole. And they will do counseling, like couples counseling, individual counseling, however you want to do it. They do amazing. And that's we do locally here, but they also started doing televisits. So they
Oh,
can
nice.
do some televisit. They're short. There are only 3 of them there. I would like to see this grow in my, I'm trying, and I know Kelly would too. She wants this to grow nationwide. Um, and then we also provide the mental health first aid treatment or classes. Right now, I only do those in person, just because it's harder for me to train on Zoom. I can do it. It's just like time consuming. It's to take care of it. I do it once a quarter. Eventually, we're going to probably move it to where I can do Zoom versus, do Zoom and in person.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm still trying to get my feet wet. I've only been doing this as my first year.
Okay.
So we're trying to do all that. It's all paid for from Buddy Check. So the person getting that treatment or that training is not having to pay for it.
Yeah.
Um, so that's with Buddy Check 22. We do a golf outing that every year in the fall that raises money. It's in September, and that's how we pay for it. And then each year we find 4 organizations and then donate the funds back to someone that's in our realm, like what our mission evolves around. I just went last night and donated some money to the Marine Corps League. We've done to the Fisher House at the VA. We've done to, we have uh, it's a, not really a homeless shelter. It's more of um supportive housing
Yeah.
complex for veterans. It's 14 beds, and we donated to them so that they can get a patio. Just some
Nice.
place where the veterans can actually go out and have that quiet time.
Yeah.
So that it's away from everything, and that's what they wanted. So we donated to that, and so we do a lot of different things as Buddy Check. Project Headspace and Timing. You can find them. It's projectheadspaceandtiming.org. It's a long. um, they are more. It's more mental health, like crisis response. We do peer support training. We do. Um, they started out doing like tiny homes. They're wanting to build tiny home village. Eventually, we're going to get there. It's just trying to find land and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Um, but as with them, they do stuff with spouses. They have their own spouse group. We have um, kind of like our teams. Like when we were in, we have our own fire team, like squads and then fire teams, and we
Yeah.
check on each other every week just to say, hey, how's things going? Just kind of keep that communication there. We go out, do rucking, we go out fishing, hiking, um, mountain biking. Uh, we've got flying lessons that we pay for. Like first for introducing flying lessons.
Yeah.
We have pretty much everything except for scuba diving, and we just didn't have enough time last year.
Yeah.
But it was on the calendar. We just never got to it. We have an ambulance and a trailer that goes out and just it's loaded full of like recreational stuff, outdoor stuff that just gets somebody out, and you just want to get out and just talk amongst people. That's what it's there for. So um, you can go on the Facebooks. They each have Facebooks off of them. Uh, but yeah, I mean that's the biggest things.
No, that's awesome. I think being in this community is amazing. I will definitely make sure I get all like the handles for Facebook. I'll get all the website
Hmm.
links, anything like that. I'll make sure and put all that in the show notes for all the listeners as well, so they can have that available to
Yep.
them. Um, any last words that you want to say?
Um, the, I do have one more for Buddy Check 22.
Okay.
This year we've just started it. We haven't actually went through and done stuff yet, but I just updated the website on it. Um, I just took over as executive director. The one before us had passed away in July. July. Um, so when he passed away, his whole goal was he wanted to do a scholarship for someone for college.
Yeah,
So we've actually this year we're implementing it into it. And it's on our website now is his memorial scholarship.
that's
So
awesome.
and that's something that we're working on getting, and it's going to go to anybody. And once we get it all the forms and everything, so it'd probably be out for the next school year.
Okay.
Um, it would be, but it's on the website, so you can find out all the information on it. It's all on Buddy Check 22's website. So,
That's awesome. Yeah,
and
I'll
I would
definitely make
say,
sure.
yeah. And then other than that, I would say, you know, it's okay to be not okay and just ask for help. That's the biggest thing. Reach out to somebody if you're, if you want, just reach out to somebody and just say, hey, I just want to know, are you okay? Because that phone call could save a life.
Yeah. Hey, I'll definitely make sure I get all the information, put it into the show notes that everybody
Yep.
has, so they can keep in contact, keep up to date with what that you guys have going on. Um, David, again, man, it's been a pleasure, an honor having you on. Thank you for coming on, sharing your story,
Hmm.
and your involvement in the veteran community is amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. And thank you everybody for listening as well. Please click that like and follow. And again, I'll put all the information in the show notes for you. And as always, be the light in someone's dark.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of The Bunkhouse. If this episode speaks to you or made you think of someone who might be struggling, please share this with them. And remember, you don't have to carry this alone. There are people who care, and there's always a next step. If you'd like to stay connected, press follow and leave a review so more veterans and their families can find these stories. You can also connect with me and find other resources by following the links in the show notes. And as always, be the light in someone's dark.